We are conditioned to believe that soda is a guilty pleasure, a toxic and habit-forming substance we must quit to achieve true health. But what if the original sodas were not poisons? What if the bubbles were never the problem, but rather the way they were made? Is it possible that we have been running away from a cure simply because it wore the same outfit as the disease? For generations, our ancestors consumed a drink that was built on an intense biological engine of prebiotic and probiotic strains that actively predigest sugars and unlock the medicinal compounds within the ingredients, turning a simple root into a bioactive tonic. This is the gingerbug. It is a drink that functioned as a global digestive force for centuries, only to be silenced, replaced, and erased by modern chemical carbonation and industrial sugar. Before we dive into how to reclaim this living heritage, welcome back to Botanical Vault. If you are ready to stop being a consumer of industrial shortcuts and start being a producer of your own health, make sure to like this video and subscribe. The history of the gingerbug goes all the way back to the mid-18th century, particularly in Yorkshire, England, and across the early American colonies. At that time, the colonial spice trade was in full swing, bringing Caribbean sugarcane and Asian ginger root to the masses. However, there was a significant problem facing the average household. In an era before modern sanitation, drinking plain water was a deadly gamble. Historical records from the 1850s, including the work of Dr. John Snow during the Broad Street Pump cholera outbreak, remind us that water was a vector for disease. Because of this, families relied on what were known as small beers. These were weakly fermented low-alcohol beverages that were safer to drink than water, because the fermentation process suppressed harmful pathogens. Ginger beer became the king of these small beers, prized as a restorative that could settle the stomach after a long day of labor in the fields. Households relied on two distinct biological engines to get the job done. The first was the ginger beer plant, often called the GBP, a gelatinous symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast that was passed from neighbor to neighbor like a sourdough starter. The second, and perhaps most accessible, was the gingerbug. This was a wild fermented starter created by mixing fresh ginger sugar and water. By harnessing the ambient microbes living naturally on the skin of the ginger root ancestors, created a perpetual source of carbonation. By the Victorian era, which lasted from 1837 to 1901, brewed ginger beer was a massive cultural phenomenon. It was thick, cloudy, and spicy, often exported in heavy crocked stoneware bottles, designed to withstand the intense pressure of natural fermentation. These bottles were prized possessions, and the drink inside was respected as a daily health tonic that improved digestion and reduced inflammation after heavy meals. If these small beers were so vital for human survival and digestive health, what happened to make us trade our local ferments for factory-made syrups? In 1855, the British Parliament passed excise tax laws that imposed heavy fees on any beverage with an alcohol content above 2%. This forced traditional brewers to drastically shorten their fermentation times to stay under the legal limit. In doing so, they sacrificed the deep microbial profile and complex organic acids that gave the drink its medicinal value. This regulatory pressure coincided with the invention of forced carbonation. In the early 20th century, the apothecary tonics of the past were moved to the American soda fountain. Instead of allowing life to create bubbles through time, machines began to inject pressurized carbon dioxide gas into water. In 1904, a Canadian pharmacist named John McLaughlin perfected this process with the launch of Canada Dry Pale Ginger Ale. Subsequently, emerging soda giants used massive marketing campaigns to equate clarity with purity. Companies like Coca-Cola and Pepsi began to spend millions to distance soda from its murky fermented roots. They positioned their clear machine-carbonated drinks as the peak of modern hygiene and social status. By the 1960s, a group called the Sugar Research Foundation, now known as the Sugar Association, began paying scientists to publish research that downplayed the risks of sugar while shifting the blame for heart disease onto dietary fat. This allowed brands like 7-Up and Dr. Pepper to market their sugar-laden products as quick energy snacks. They successfully replaced beneficial microbes that assist in sugar metabolism with massive amounts of high fructose corn syrup. According to reports from the Centers for Disease Control, the introduction of high fructose corn syrup in the late 1960s led to a metabolic trap. Without the enzymes and probiotics found in traditional ferments to help process these sugars, the body began to suffer from chronic insulin resistance. And this transition directly mirrors the rise of the American obesity epidemic. When we compare the nutritional profile of a gingerbug soda to modern alternatives, the numbers are significant. A 12-ounce can of Canada Dry Ginger Ale contains roughly 35 grams of sugar, but it is effectively dead water. There are no enzymes and almost zero gingerol. Compare this to the juices we often give our children as a healthy alternative. A 12-ounce serving of Welch's 100% grape juice contains 54 grams of sugar, while Minute Maid orange juice contains about 33 grams. These drinks are pasteurized, which means every beneficial enzyme has been destroyed by heat, leaving behind a massive fructose load that hits the liver instantly. The gingerbug works differently. While you do add sugar to the brew, that sugar is not for you. It is food for the lactobacillus and Saccharomyces microbes. As they consume the sucrose, they convert it into lactic acid and carbon dioxide, significantly reducing the glycemic load of the final drink. The primary bioactive compound in ginger is 6-gingerol, which is known for its anti-inflammatory properties. However, clinical studies have shown that when ginger is fermented by lactic acid bacteria, it converts 6-gingerol into 6-shogaol. Research published in 2020 indicates that 6-shogaol has significantly higher antioxidant and anti-inflammatory potency than raw ginger. By choosing the gingerbug over a can of soda or a bottle of juice, you are not just avoiding toxins. You are consuming a pre-digested, upgraded form of medicine that supports the gut lining and metabolic health. But the modern beverage industry has finally realized that consumers are waking up to the dangers of industrial soda. Their response has been to pivot toward functional sodas. If you walk into a Whole Foods today, you will see coolers flooded with prebiotic and probiotic sodas. Brands like Olipop and Poppy have become the new status symbols of health, promising gut support in every can. However, these cans often retail for $2.50 to $4.50 each. This is a massive irony. The industry removed the natural probiotics from your drinks a century ago to make them easier to ship and store, and now they are selling those same microbes back to you at a 4,000% markup. The industry did not invent gut health, but they certainly figured out how to commoditize it. You are being charged a premium for a biological process that occurs naturally on your kitchen counter for pennies. But how do you actually bring this ancient biological engine back to life on your own kitchen counter? First, you need to cultivate your bug. The ingredients cannot be simpler. You will need 1 pound of organic ginger, 2 pounds of plain cane, sugar, and filtered unchlorinated water. This is essential because the chlorine in tap water is designed to kill the very bacteria we are trying to grow. Sanitation is your first priority before you begin. Wash your glass jars and stirring spoons in hot soapy water, or use a food-grade sanitizer like Star San. You can also rinse your equipment with white vinegar and a hot water wash, to ensure no competing mold gets a foothold. To start the bug, grate 2 tablespoons of organic ginger, leaving the skin on, since that is where the yeast lives. Mix this with 2 tablespoons of sugar and 1 cup of water in a jar. Cover it with a coffee filter or a cheesecloth held by a rubber band to allow the brew to breathe while keeping out fruit flies. But there is an even deeper reason this matters. When you make a living soda at home, you begin to understand that health is not something you purchase in a bottle. Health is a relationship. It is a process. It is a conversation between your body, your microbes, your kitchen, and the raw materials of the earth. The modern food system teaches dependence. The gingerbug teaches participation. And that shift changes more than your drink. It changes your mindset. Think about what happens every time you open a commercial beverage. There is no life inside it. No transformation is taking place. It is a static product, built for shelf life, not human vitality. But a gingerbug is alive. It responds to temperature timing, minerals, sugar levels, and care. If you ignore it, it weakens. If you feed it properly, it becomes stronger. In a strange way, it mirrors the body. That is why ancestral food traditions were powerful. They trained people to observe life instead of outsourcing every function to industry. This is why the first batch you brew is about more than flavor. It is about developing sensitivity. You learn to recognize the smell of healthy fermentation. It should smell spicy, bright, slightly yeasty, and pleasantly sour. You learn to notice visual clues. Fine bubbles rising from the sides of the jar, a faint cloudiness in the liquid, a gentle fizz on the tongue. These are signs that invisible organisms are doing their work. Once you understand that, you stop seeing fermentation as folklore and start seeing it as craftsmanship. Of course, there are mistakes beginners can make. If your bug smells putrid, rotten, or moldy, do not try to save it. Throw it out and begin again. If you see fuzzy growth in green, black, pink, or white patches on the surface, that is contamination, not fermentation. Clean your equipment more carefully and use fresh ingredients. If there are no bubbles after a week, the problem is usually temperature chlorinated water or ginger that was stripped too aggressively and lost its natural microbes. Sometimes all you need is a warmer room. Sometimes you need fresh organic ginger with the skin intact. The process is forgiving, but it rewards attentiveness. Once your bug is healthy, you can move beyond basic ginger soda. This is where the practice becomes exciting. You can infuse the tea base with turmeric for a deeper anti-inflammatory tonic. You can add lemon peel for brightness, hibiscus for a tart finish, cinnamon for warmth, or cloves for a spiced version. In summer, berries create color and softer acidity. In colder months, apple and ginger make a comforting ferment that tastes both sharp and grounding. Each variation gives you a beverage that feels artisanal, but the real value is control. You decide the ingredients, sweetness, intensity, quality. This matters because one of the greatest deceptions in the wellness market is the illusion of personalization. Companies tell you that health can be optimized through branded products, but most of those products are standardized for mass production. A homemade gingerbug soda is personal. You can shorten the fermentation for a sweeter drink or extend it for a drier finish. You can use less sugar in the second ferment. You can combine roots, herbs, fruits, and spices based on how your body responds. If digestion feels sluggish, make it stronger and spicier. If you want something lighter, use citrus and mint. The kitchen becomes your laboratory, guided by tradition rather than isolation. And there is another hidden benefit. When people begin brewing drinks like this at home, they often start questioning the rest of their pantry. If soda can be reclaimed, what else can be reclaimed? Bread? Yogurt? Pickles? Sauerkraut? broth, vinegar. Over and over, the same pattern appears. The products sold back to us as premium lifestyle upgrades were once ordinary household skills. The system profits when you forget that. It becomes vulnerable when you remember. That is why small acts like cultivating a gingerbug matter more than they seem. They restore practical confidence. They rebuild food literacy. They remind you that nourishment was never supposed to be mysterious. Even children can benefit from seeing this process. Instead of teaching them that every fizzy drink comes from a store, you show them that bubbles can be born from life itself. They watch ginger sugar and water turn active over days. They hear the hiss when a bottle opens. They learn patience, cause and effect, and respect for living food. That lesson is worth more than the drink alone. It helps reverse the passive consumer mindset that has defined modern eating for generations. Traditional kitchens were classrooms as much as they were places of nourishment. So when you take your first sip of a properly brewed gingerbug soda, pay attention. The flavor should be layered. You will taste spice first, then acidity, then a gentle sweetness, followed by lively carbonation that feels softer than factory soda. It does not hit the mouth like a chemical blast. It feels rounded, almost creamy, because the gas was produced inside the liquid by living microbes rather than injected by force. That difference is not just sensory, it is philosophical. One method treats the drink as an industrial object. The other treats it as a transformation. And that brings us back to the question we began with. Were the bubbles ever really the problem? Or did we simply inherit a broken version of an older tradition and mistake that counterfeit for the real thing? The gingerbug reminds us that not every sweet fizzy drink has to be a metabolic burden. Some can nourish, some can restore, and some can reconnect us to forgotten intelligence that once existed in every household. So do not let this remain another interesting fact you heard in a video. Put it into practice. Start a jar tonight. Feed it tomorrow. Listen for the hiss. Watch for the bubbles. Taste the transformation for yourself. Because every batch you brew is a small refusal of industrial dependency and a small return to ancestral skill. And in a world built on convenience, that may be one of the most radical health decisions you can make. Thank you for spending this time with Botanical Vault. If this video changed the way you see soda juice and fermentation, like this video and subscribe. Keep learning, brewing, and reclaiming what should have been yours all along.